This started a long time ago. I've been a lifelong car enthusiast, and I've always loved the classic cars, but the driving experience is really a big shortcoming. We're talking about 60-year-old technology. And, if you put that in perspective, we don't have 60-year-old appliances in our homes, and we don't play golf with 60-year-old golf clubs, but, you've got a vintage car and you've got 60-year-old technology. So it really leaves something to be desired. So this idea of modernizing, re-engineering a classic vehicle with modern technology and materials, to me was really compelling, and it seemed that there were a lot of other people that felt the same way. So we were able to create a business, and we've had significant growth since we started over 10 years ago, and we're on a great path.
To be clear, and this is something a lot of people are confused about. I saw you explaining it like over and over again to Jay Leno. These are not restored cars. You don't take an old Mustang and make it better. You've re-engineered everything. I mean, like the door handles or the hood hinges, and built it yourself from the ground up in Orlando, right?
Well, we've done it both ways. We've done it as a rolling chassis replica, and we've also built cars from original Mustang donor vehicles as restored vehicles. So today, currently, this year, we're focused exclusively on building restored cars from original vehicles. But, we build them all essentially new. Certain parts cannot be refurbished. You take steel that's rusted away, it has to be replaced with new parts. And so we do the whole thing in-house in our factory in Florida, from the assembly of the body structure, the body in white, through paint, trim, chassis, and final assembly, so we can control the overall process and ensure we have a predictable outcome.
I'm really glad you brought up steel, because these days it brings up a very emotional response with what is going on with the tariff strategy in the United States as well. If you're looking for new parts and if you need steel in order to put cars together of all sorts, particularly ones that are more expensive, what does this mean to you? I mean, ultimately, how is this strategy going to impact what you do?
Yeah, well, if these tariffs stick, it would be a big issue for us. We have a lot of cars that we've booked well in advance. The price is fixed, so a sudden increase in the cost of our materials, we're going to have to absorb it. So that's a really big issue. The other thing is that we build in low volumes. This year we plan to build not quite 90 cars, and there's not a lot of companies that are that interested in low volume. So often we go overseas and we find suppliers that might be willing to do things that U.S. suppliers just, they're not oriented towards. It's not, kind of doing low volumes is not their business. So it's a real, I think it'll be a real challenge for small companies like ours.
Have you been able to raise prices? Tom, what's your pricing power like in this market? You're putting out a new car, a 1969 Boss 429. It looks absolutely killer. What are you going to charge for it?
Yeah, well, we're not ready to announce pricing for the Boss yet. So our current price range goes from $283,000 for the 67 or 68 Mustang GT Fastback to $354,000 for a 68 Shelby GT500 KR convertible. We'll be, I think, above that range. The Boss is bringing in some new features and technology that we haven't had before. I think it's tricky to try to push too high. You get into this price category, and you compete against a lot of other things, not just automobiles. Because it's a discretionary luxury purchase. So I think it's tricky. I think we need to hold the line on pricing as much as we can.
Can you give me,
Tom,
can you give me some of the details on the Boss? I mean, I know you have in your cars a carbon fiber drive shaft, an 8.8-inch rear end, a locking differential, sometimes a supercharged Coyote 5-liter V8. What do we know about the Boss 429?
Yeah, well, one of the things that is unique about us is that all the cars that we build are built on a common platform. So the platform is the component set that includes the powertrain, chassis, driveline, electrical system, and so forth. That allows us to deliver modern performance, reliability, and comfort. So the Boss will get this platform. Some of the unique things about the Boss, the interior is a big departure from anything we've done in the past. Almost the entire interior is composed of Revology designed parts. So it has the look, the feel of the original Boss, but it's a much higher level of craftsmanship, the quality of the materials and so forth, and the ergonomics are much improved. So a really nice driving experience, because really that's what our cars are about. You know, they're not, they could go in a museum, or they could go to a high-end car show and win trophies, but they're really about driving, so they need to be comfortable and enjoyable to drive.